How's it going, everyone? Foxxy here once again, bringing you a new series called Thrift Store Game Hunting. Generally speaking, this is going to be the same format that I use for my live flea market videos, except obviously instead of going to the flea markets, I'll be going to thrift stores. I should also point out before we move on that even though my main priority for these places is to find games, I will be looking at other stuff that catches my eye, like DVDs, electronics, and various other things that I could possibly want. Anyway, the first place we have today is a Salvation Army that opened up here just a few months ago, and this is actually the first time I've ever been in here. Right away, I noticed some PS1 games, as well as some Xbox games that I didn't really show too well, but I wouldn't worry about it since most of it was sports titles anyway. And while I don't necessarily collect PS1 games, the games, DVDs, and CDs were only 49 cents each, and for that price, you might as well buy whatever you're even slightly interested in. I even bought that Gran Turismo 2 to replace the damaged one I have at home. For 49 cents, why wouldn't you? It's hard not to come across Guitar Hero or Rock Band controllers at just about any thrift store. They can't even give them away if they tried. This one I haven't seen before, and it's very rare to come across any of these Guitar Hero type things with a box, so I don't know, I guess I thought it was interesting. This RC Mario Kart thing would be awesome if it had the controller, battery, and battery cover. Yeah, I guess if someone really wanted to buy this strictly as a display piece, that would be perfectly fine, since it's still in good shape, all things considered. I would have done that, to be honest, if I thought about it at the time. Next up is Goodwill. In general, thrift stores tend to have old PC games like this, however, I have a Windows 10 PC, and getting these old things to run on a Windows 10 PC is, well, more trouble than it's usually worth. Also, be careful for games like this that have the codes that are required to install the game on your PC. Some of them, like this, are a one-time only deal that registers and locks onto your Origin or Steam account, for example. Speaking of PC games, I found Frontline's Fuel of War for $2. A lot of people consider this to be a poor man's version of a Battlefield game, which is, I guess, sort of true, but besides that, I think Frontlines is a pretty fun game, but I already have it on console. I don't really need this on my PC. There's a ton of board games here, and they're all $1.50 unless otherwise noted on the tag. If you're willing to look through and make sure all the pieces are there and that it's still in good shape, then it's a really good deal, but there was nothing I really cared about here. Off into the corner I spotted one of those Tony Hawk Shred controllers for the 360. I actually have the board for Tony Hawk Ride for the PS3 at home. Funny thing is how bad Shred bombed in sales. I think the game only sold like, 2,000 or 3,000 copies in its first week, which is just fucking abysmal for a game. Now that I think about it, I don't believe that Ride sold all that well either. The CD and DVD section is usually where thrift stores tend to put their games, but unfortunately there wasn't much here other than the typical sports titles that end up sitting here for months on end. Oh, but there's a Spider-Man Web of Shadows. That doesn't have the disc inside, of course. I forgot what this is used for. Some organizer for addresses, maybe? I can't remember. However, if you really wanted to, you could actually take all this crap out and use it to store some old, loose, retro handheld games like Game Boy, Atari Lynx, or even Sega Game Gear games. On the way out, I saw this awesome Virtual Pilot Pro flight controller for an old IBM and PC computer. $8 for it in the box in excellent condition is a fantastic price. I thought about buying this for like 10-15 minutes, but I have no real practical use for it and nowhere to really display it at the moment. Even though I really want this, I need to walk away from it. It's just so cool though. Damn it. Next, we have a new Goodwill that also just opened up a few months ago. It's $10, which isn't terrible, I guess, but I don't think it's going to hold all my PS1 and other CD games, especially the double stacks. I'll pass on this.
Hey, Dad. Brand new.
No.
No?
I have no interest.
I thought you loved that
No.
shit.
You fucking stupid ass.
Jesus Christ, look at all the sports games. This has got to be the most I've ever seen at one Goodwill before. To be fair, at least they had some good non-sports titles like Gran Turismo, Stuntman, ATV Off-Road Fury, and a few others, but I already owned them. Including Airborne Troops Countdown to D-Day. Pretty interesting to come across this, since I think it's a fairly uncommon, maybe even rare title. If I recall, the game wasn't even that bad either. I'm sure someone will buy it. There's 2 Wii Fit boards here, one of which has the box. They're both $10, and that's not a bad price, although I've seen other Goodwills and thrift stores tag these things for under $5 sometimes. Well, it's about a week later, and I'm back at that same Goodwill from before. Let's see if anything's changed. Needs to be cleaned up pretty bad, but this is actually perfect for me. It's only $4 and it holds about 180 CDs total, so that should keep me set for a good year or two. Hopefully. I don't know why, but at this Goodwill in particular, I always come across random Wii games that I never see anywhere else. Other than that, there's nothing worth pointing out. As far as DVDs, I did spot a couple somewhat older wrestling shows like the Survivor Series 2006, and if memory serves me well, I don't think this was that great of a show. In fact, I think it was pretty terrible. And I also found 2 awful Ultimate Wrestling DVDs featuring Steve Austin before he was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Jeff Jarrett? Ugh, no thanks. This next place I just started checking out not too long ago. It's a thrift store that I believe is owned and operated by a Humane Society, which then uses whatever percentage of their sales towards helping homeless animals. Surprisingly, this is the cleanest, most well-taken care of thrift store I've ever been to. It's not like the typical Goodwill or Salvation Army, where shit is just thrown all over the shelves. This one is well organized and, like I said, very clean. Oh, and they also have a friendly dog that roams around here. Because why not? Anyway, they have a ton of DVDs as well as a decent selection of video games. Everything is priced at $2 each unless marked. So for example, something like a season of DVDs from whatever show will most likely cost a little bit more. It's a brand new copy of The Force Unleashed 2. Well, that's pretty cool, but who fucking knows if it'll run correctly on a Windows 10. For $2, I probably should have just gambled and bought it, but I didn't. Another thing I wanted but didn't end up buying is a new Super Size Me DVD. No idea why I love this documentary so much, and I wonder if they still show this documentary in schools today. Typically, I avoid sports games like the plague, but Madden 94 on the Genesis is, believe it or not, really, really good. So good that I would much rather play this than any sports game that has came out in recent years. It's kind of sad when you think about it. I ended up grabbing a handful of games, as well as that animated Resident Evil movie. I made the mistake of buying that Siphon Filter game thinking I didn't have it, but I do. In fact, I have 3 copies of it. The final stop for this video is yet another Goodwill, but this time I have my wife, or whatever, fiance with me, which is nice, since going to these places alone gets boring after a while.
Oh, look at all the sports games. Shit.
But they're all scratched.
Oh, you want to take one random guess? Madden 06. Yeah, it's got some chunks ripped out of it. Yeah, of course.
I'm sure it'll still work.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
fine.
Right. What about the Resident Evil trilogy? Have you seen it? It's pretty bad.
I've seen them, yeah.
It's bad. It's not good.
You see these weird movies and it's like, who buys them in the first place?
Right.
Really? Like the Dancing Pumpkin. Who bought that?
Powerpuff Girls. But it's not a seasoned DVD. I remember when I was so into this when I was a kid.
You're really into Papa?
It's a little embarrassing, but I really was into it. Like, I can name all the villains and all that stuff. Nowadays, if you ask me it, I couldn't probably even name one except for the one girl. with the hair thing going on. I forgot her name.
Orange hair, and she's rich.
Is she rich?
Your manager, please.
I don't know. Oh my god.
Okay.
So Charles Bronson. Oh, he's just a wonderful man.
What you're feeling now is your own mortality. This bastard knows about it. He knows all about it.
Who's that?
Exactly.
Was this? He looks like Chucky from
A little
Rugrats. What do you mean a little bit?
Not full on.
It's got the same face thing going on.
Where's his teeth at?
It's Chucky. He don't have teeth. Or no, he did, didn't he? Didn't he have like one?
I don't remember actually.
Oh fuck! Are you kidding me? Look at the price of that.
How much are they usually?
Well, GameStop sells these for $15. And yeah, I guess it's a half off day. It'd be 15, but I see every other Goodwill have those for like $3.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. Oh, look at that.
Oh.
I don't need it, but it's cool to see. Because for some reason it's like there's like 50,000 different versions of this.
And that just about wraps up this first episode, everyone. Sorry I didn't get anything really spectacular, but hey, this is one of those luck of the draw things. Maybe next time will be better. Who knows? We'll have to see. Anyway, take care everyone, and I'll see you next time.